He's good at solving problems, so if you have one, go find him. He'll help you. And it's his inspiration, just passing the potato back to him. I kind of said, hey, that's a great idea, and then it grew. But the seed is his idea. How many I have just like understanding the audience a little bit, if I may, just ask some questions. How many are here in Gita Nagari farm for the first time? Oh. I've been coming for 2.5 decades, and my experience is this is a magical place. So be ready for anything, because it just might happen. Very, very different than what you had in mind when you came here. That's good news, by the way. How many of you, aside from the morning yoga class, how many of you are regularly practicing yoga? Okay. And how many of you are regularly doing some type of meditation? More. Many more. Double. Okay. Me too. I became interested in fulfilling the purpose of human life. This, I call it, for general audiences like this higher consciousness place. I want to know what that is. I know there is such a place, a higher reality behind everything. And so in the course of that exploration, it was like a personal quest, along with my background was science. I did pre-med student when I started this little journey. And for now 48 years, I've been practicing Bhakti Yoga as it's taught in Bhagavad Gita. The yoga and the meditation that you were all invited to participate in this morning comes from Bhagavad Gita. So you'll be hearing little messages of Bhagavad Gita. Just as a for example, chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita is the chapter that is the basis or foundation of the yoga that you did this morning. It doesn't give a description of asanas. That's not what it does. But it explains the foundational elements and principles of consciousness that go along with that particular form of yoga. And there's multiple other forms of yoga within Bhagavad Gita. So it outlined the yoga system, Bhagavad Gita, and its goal, the place of higher consciousness. You'll see a chart in this morning's presentation about that. I'm happy to be with all of you. Let's begin our little journey. Meditation. Meditation within not only the yoga system that you practiced this morning, but all the different yoga systems, there is some form of meditation, because an essential part of yoga, or connecting with that place of higher consciousness, is the mind. Where does the mind go? And where the mind goes, the legs go, and the rest of you go, including during this lifetime and after this lifetime. So where the mind goes is really important. In modern society, even specifically in urban life, because many people like urban life, or they make their residence in big cities. Meditation is a well-known, becoming more and more well-known means of relief from the stresses that come from modern life and urban life. You may be interested to hear this. For tourists that come to New York City, there's tours of mindfulness meditation. So not only go to some place where they can learn and then perform meditation, but then as they're touring in New York City, how do you maintain mindfulness while you're touring in New York City? It's not a place of peacefulness. But within that peacefulness is accessible if one learns the art of meditation and the art of bringing the mind to a quiet place. And then you can be in the middle of a busy place, and inside you're in a quiet place, while mindfully addressing whatever the circumstances that confront you. Trend-wise, many celebrities, you probably recognize Oprah, right in the middle here, and Oprah Winfrey, self-made multi-billionaire, who strongly, openly professes the strength that she gets and encourages others. 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, meditation. And many other well-known personalities, without naming the names, and studies. It's a wave of interest and strength that people are deriving from meditation. Two big corporate giants, Google and Intel, it's a regular part of their corporate culture, directly involving their, particularly their administrators, but the workers in meditation. And there's a reason it makes them more effective. Besides, it makes them feel less stressed in an atmosphere that can be very stressful. But in our modern culture, as you're all very familiar, there's a tendency for short attention span and multitasking. Without elaborating, youth today, studies show their attention span is like tiny. And that culture that the youth are growing up in is a culture that we're also exposed to, and it's to be effective in your academic life and following the academic life, professional life, like these corporate giants over here. Taming the mind from its multitasking addiction and habits to calm, be very focused on one thing, and in the corporate culture, the task at hand, because the practice of meditation helps in the tasks at hand, the tasks of life, the things that you do day by day. So that you'll be more effective, or their employees and administrators will be more effective, and also the relationships between employers, employees, their staff. Major conflicts arise because people's minds are not in control, and their lower emotions rule over their higher emotions, and it makes it difficult to get work done in interpersonal dealings in a work situation. So they find both of those areas, their decision-making power, they're in these positions because they have intellects and they can produce. But that intellect becomes more effective if the mind is controlled and focused and peaceful, and the deliberation process gets to better result and better decision. And then the other is the relationships within the workplace. The ounce of prevention that's worth a pound of cure. If the inside is more peaceful, then interactions that cause friction with one another, they can be far more easily resolved instead of exploding. That's their findings. So it's an essential part of their corporate culture. In public schools, there was a time that was like a no-no, but it's now becoming far more popular. This is a group of first graders. This is Mrs. Simon, a Jewish lady, sitting with her kids in a reading class because kids are addicted to, electronic stuff and their minds are distracted. So to have them read before they read, she trains them to do meditation so their minds can focus and read and receive and then discuss. Discipline in schools is a major issue, not just people shooting each other, but just discipline in classrooms. I know two somebodies, that when they completed their training to be school teachers, they were hired, and the principal of the school sat them down and said, if you can't discipline your class, you can't teach. And if we find that you can't discipline your class, we're not going to hire you again. Because discipline is such a big issue in classrooms. So rather than just be a heavy-handed disciplinarian, in some schools, this particular school mentioned here, they replaced detention or send them to, look in a corner or some other kind of discipline to do meditation. And the studies from their experiment is stunning results, and so it's starting to spread. It helps manage undisciplined behavior. In the world, I just came back from China, and kaboom! It's a big explosion in the interest in meditation. Not just from people that are stressed, but even in corporate sectors. I'll share one, just for sake of anecdotal sharing. There's a big company, I won't mention the name, where the number of suicides in the highest ranking people increased dramatically in the past number of years. And so they made it mandatory for all the people that are in their upper echelon of administration in this big company. They must daily, or you can't be an employee in our corporation, engage in meditation. In the last year's summer, someone jumped out of the 7th floor window and splattered on the pavement below. And they found out that person wasn't doing their meditation, so they just ramped it up again. So it's not just people out there, it's the world that we're living in. It's you all know, even in your academic stage, it's very stressful. This is a chart showing the phenomena of meditation. Over the past decade, it's increased 100%, people interested. And I hope the sound system works. This is a little video clip from Scientific American. And let's see if it works.
Researchers have known for decades that meditation can improve someone's physical and mental health. It can relieve stress, lower blood pressure, and lift someone's mood. But only in the last 10 years have neuroscientists taken a serious look at the changes in brain structure underlying some of meditation's benefits. Like everything else we do, meditation rewires our neural circuits, pruning away the least used connections and strengthening the ones we exercise most. Studies looking for signs of these changes usually focus on mindfulness meditation, which challenges people to keep their attention fixed on their thoughts and sensations in the present moment. Scientists acknowledge that many of these studies are small and not ideally designed, but at this point, researchers have gathered enough evidence to be confident that their findings are not just flukes. Experiments suggest that Buddhist monks have really robust connections between scattered regions of their brains, which allows for more synchronized communication. Expert meditators also seem to develop an especially wrinkly cortex, the brain's outer layer. We depend on the cortex for many of our most sophisticated mental abilities, like abstract thought and introspection. Several studies have confirmed that meditation can increase the volume and density of the hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped area of the brain in the middle of the skull that is absolutely crucial for memory. And although areas of the brain responsible for sustaining attention usually shrink as we age, meditation counteracts this decay. An increasing number of studies show that meditating for as little as 12 to 20 minutes a day for several weeks can sharpen the mind. In these studies, meditators have scored higher on tests of attention and working memory, which is the ability to temporarily store and manipulate information in one's mind. Some lifelong meditators in their 50s and 60s can even outperform 20-somethings on tests of visual attention. So if you're interested in trying meditation, you should probably start as soon as possible. For Scientific American's Instant Egghead, I'm Ferris Jaber.
Better than a TED Talk, it's like quick information. And many studies have been done. I won't go into it. I'm familiar with some, and it's very consistent. You know, in short, you want to be effective in school, do meditation. You want to be effective in your career, do meditation. You want to be effective in life, do meditation. And there's many such benefits. Here's one study I like. That what's being measured in the left-hand side is vibration frequency, kind of like the alpha waves and gamma waves, etc., that emanate from the brain. I'm not exactly sure how they make their measurements, but I find the chart interesting. It definitely matches this place of higher consciousness terminology that I like to use in public forums, where those that are engaged in meditation, they move closer to this higher consciousness position, and they go away from the lower consciousness position. Interesting, I find it interesting. Shame and guilt. I know somebody, their profession is trauma therapy. And they find that many people are trapped down here in shame. They're trapped. It's a self-trap, they can free themselves. But it's way at the bottom. Less, but still low, is fear. Then less, but still low, is anger. Then it starts to move up. Reason, above reason is love. I find it interesting. Above love is gratitude, because love can be mixed a little bit. with lust, gratitude, and higher consciousness. So, study shows meditation helps move one to this higher consciousness position, consistently with some extended research. So you like to move away from this lower negative emotion? Just two things. During this recent visit to China, in one city, we had a 4-part weekend seminar on overcoming negative emotion, because we all have some. We have some positive ones, we have some negative ones, and the negative ones can be debilitating, depending. Meditation helps move one from those to overcome, not necessarily the circumstance that's outside of your control, but how you respond to those circumstances that are outside of your control and dwell on them and become crippled by circumstances that are outside your control. And just a Bhagavad Gita message. This is comparable to the mode of goodness. One of the biggest topic in the whole of Bhagavad Gita is the modes of nature. And those not familiar with Bhagavad Gita, it's very simple. Just like there's 3 primary colors, and by mixing the primary colors you can make any color. You just have to know how to mix them. In New York, where I've lived for many years, there's a paint company called Pinchik, and you can take a chip from your wall of any color and they put it in this machine, and it can make you an exact replica of that color, so you don't have to paint all your wall. You just get a can of paint, expensive, that they just know how to mix to get a certain color. Similarly, with mixing of colors, also the modes of nature. There's 3 primary modes of nature. Goodness, that's this higher consciousness mode. Passion, that's in the middle range, and ignorance is in the lower range. Goodness maintains. Passion creates. Ignorance destroys, and there's a mix. And all the variety of this world, of plants and trees and people and personalities and stuff, it's influenced by, under the grip of those modes of nature. So meditation helps move your whole lifestyle towards the mode of goodness and this place of higher consciousness, away from lower emotions. Very interesting chart. The letters are hard to read, but it's just some statistics of stress in the workplace and how much money is spent. This is how much money is lost, estimated by corporations or companies, due to workers and employers being stressed, overwhelmed by stress, or less effective. So that's an estimated profit loss, or the cost of stress. This is the money spent financially in medical assistance when one feels stress, and without going through the whole chart. It's in short, it's an epidemic. Unlike anything in the previous decade or going further back in time, it's on the rise, more and more and more. So that trend is something to be aware of. Here comes a tsunami, so you should be prepared for what you're going to do when the tsunami comes. Because it may not be impacting you so much, but persons very close to you or dear to you and the world around you, and how to protect yourself and those that are very dear to you from that difficulty. Again, another chart, and the letters are really tiny, so I'm not going to go through it all. This is indicating stress and its impact on the brain, the heart, the skin, the digestive system, and the skeletal system. Even down to your bones. Studies show the bone's density diminishes in those that have a life of greater stress. The details are very interesting. If you want, I can go read off the chart. It's, you want me to read off the chart? Okay, here we go. From the brain, mood issues, including anger, depression, instability from the brain, lack of energy, anxiety disorders, panic attacks. That's just, neurology of the brain. Then comes your heart, increased blood pressure, narrowing of the arteries, increased blood glucose, decreased nutrient absorption. That's not the heart, that's the organs of the body. The skin, change in skin texture, loss of skin tone, loss of moisture, thinner and more delicate skin. And then, the lower regions of the body, the lower organs. Alterations of gut mobility. Decreased immunity. Hormonal imbalances. Anyway, muscle protein breakdown, aches and pains in joints and muscles, lower bone density. That's just, what studies from the medical profession, what stress does to the body, different parts of the body. So it's something. If you don't get a grip on it, then it could take a lot of your attention later. The ounce of prevention versus the pound of cure, and all the money spent and all the... Anybody that has a physical disorder that limits what you can do, or when your desire remains to do stuff and you can't because your bodily condition doesn't permit it. It's very frustrating. Okay, so you need the microphone back. I'm the professor and he is the teacher, so he's going to help you with the practical things. Yeah.
So we'll do a quick exercise to make this interactive so that we really learn this important subject. So we would like all of you to take a moment and sort of meditate upon what's the intention that you want, what you want to get out of this workshop, why you are here. This is important because any activity you do, why you do it matters a lot, even if it's a mundane activity. So please meditate upon that first. We'll give you a few seconds to think about why you're here, what you want to change, what you want to improve, what do you want to get out of this this weekend and this series of presentations we're on. If you like, it's even more powerful if you write it down or you share it with the person next to you. So feel free to pair up with whoever's next to you and tell them why you're here. Keep in mind what you stated to yourself or the person next to you while you're here, and try to work towards that. I would also like to encourage all of you to write down. So Maharaj took you through some modes of lower consciousness and higher consciousness. Write down what modes of lower consciousness you experience and be as honest as you can, because this is the only point of this exercise is to improve yourself. The reason you are all here is to find ways to get better. So don't be very honest. Write it down. Keep it to yourself if you want to. Yes.
Could you redefine lower and higher consciousness?
So some examples that Maharaj gave were shame and guilt, anger, stuff like that is lower consciousness, and higher consciousness is love and gratitude. Yeah, this chart gives you an idea. Is there anyone here who never gets angry? I can't understand. Yeah, not a single hand went up, so there you go. Alright, so we'll come back to your notes. So keep in mind what you stated for your intention. Also keep in mind what you said you experienced for lower and higher consciousness, and later in the presentation we'll revisit that.
Yeah. Later on during this morning session, there's going to be a request that you personally do while doing meditation to look inside and direct some energy towards that letting go of that lower consciousness space and moving to higher consciousness space. Practical, besides conceptual. Okay. Now, that was just an introduction to the topic. This art of letting go is where we're going to begin. And the mindfulness, or the gift of the present, by the way, that's the mode of goodness. And the attitude of gratitude. Interesting alliteration, but it's preceding this place of higher consciousness, how it helps you. So that's where we're going to start. The art of letting go. Part 1 of our 3-part workshop session. Here's a cartoon. Oh, Master, is it proper for a monk to use email? And the Master says, sure, as long as there's no attachments. That's a joke. Because attachment or detachment or letting go of negative emotions or lower energy feelings, mode of ignorance, anger, frustration, guilt, etc., etc. Letting go is important to go up. So.
All right, so instead of discussing in pairs this time, I would like to ask for volunteers who would want to share why is it important to let go. Anybody like to venture against this?
Hello, my name is Serena, and what I would say, why is it important to let go? For me, personally, I think people hold on to items that essentially mean nothing. They're equipment, they're all material. It doesn't matter if it's a camera, a phone, a t-shirt. Without it, it shouldn't add value to your insides and your feeling of happiness and peace. So I think if you hold on to something, I think it adds anxiety and stress inside of the human body, because I don't think you should be thinking about it in the first place. You should be thinking about who you want to be, how you can achieve it, and what can make you smile and laugh each day.
Hi, my name is Alex, and our theme is not material, it's about emotions. Such emotions as lust, obsession, and greediness and jealousy are very easy to stick and to continue going with you, at least with me sometimes for quite long periods of time, poisoning thinking and not letting some other constructive ideas to enter, and the process of synthesizing something new to occur. This is why when I feel, now that this doesn't happen very often, that they are gone, that I suddenly let them go. I feel much purer, much more open to anything.
Good.
Wonderful. So to summarize, you made a really good point about detaching yourself from material objects, and you talked about emotions. I saw some other hand go back there, Ashley.
I have I live with a bunch of roommates, and what I've noticed, we have attachments to sort of our evaluations on a certain situation, and we will not be able to, I feel like conflict resolution is really important, and in order to find a solution, we have to let go a little bit of our feelings on things and our ownership of certain objects as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
There's someone back there. Two.
Hi, good morning, Sean. When we're attached to experiences or items, it kind of traps our attention and draws us away from being fully present in the moment with people that we're with, new ideas, as we have just this limited capacity of our attention for life, as we are attached to material objects or to concepts or past experiences that may be negative, is drawing away from our ability to fully experience the present moment and be embraced in the moment that we are living in that actual time.
Very good.
Wonderful. So one more here. I think you raised your hand. Here in the front. Can you raise your hand again, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Angela, and I think that it's important to let go because a lot of this has to do with self-compassion and compassion towards other people. When we hold on to things, really it creates a lot of suffering inside of us. Like you mentioned before, it's not what happens to us that matters, but how we respond to what happens to us. And when we hold on to things like anger and frustration, we're creating a lot of suffering within us, right? And if we are able to let it go, then we're able to be more self-compassionate. I think that lends itself towards compassion to other people, because then you realize that, I'd like to think that people don't have bad intentions. They're trying to do their very best at that moment, even if it does cause us anger and frustration. So it's also about understanding like where other people are coming from and meeting them where they're at, and to extend that compassion to other people and to build better relationships.
So wonderful. Many of others of you also had an opinion, but in the interest of time.
Yes, we have to move. This is a good group. Not only willingness to participate, but very thoughtful. My appreciation of this group. Detachment doesn't mean I don't care. Detachment means I can let go. And if you're going to let go, this is a Bhagavad Gita message, then where does your attention go instead of the attachment space? Here's a quote from one, an inspirational speaker. I hope everybody could get rich and famous and will have everything they ever dreamed of, so they will know that that's not the answer. Frustration. Negative emotions. Some of this was touched on already just by all of you, but if we hold on to anger and we're unable to forgive, it increases the negative emotion. To err is human, forgive is divine's common saying. It's good to let go in the matter of forgiveness. And there's this saying I like, bury the hatchet. Have you heard that one before? It's an American Indian saying that the two Indian tribes were at war. They decided to have peace, so they'd bury the hatchet. That was like the symbol, the gesture of we're going to stop war. But then it's one thing to bury the hatchet, and it's another thing to forget where you buried it. Because you can go back and pick it up again, and you didn't really forget, so forget or forgive is let it go. Hurt feelings. Someone said something, did something that indeed was hurtful, and you felt something, and you hold on to that feeling. It's toxic. It's poisonous to the system, and can lead to cruel behavior towards others, like this self-compassion and compassion. I like that comment. Very nice. Very nice. It's true. And then the internal weakening of our own system, leading to depression, sense of loneliness, lack of self-worth, low self-esteem. It's a byproduct. What precedes it is not letting go. Interesting. In the UK, they have a minister for loneliness. And their saying is, in that ministry, the sad reality of modern life for too many people is they're feeling lonely. And it's coming from studies, from medical studies. Physicians have long warned that social isolation is associated with heart diseases, diabetes, and cancer. So if you want a big medical bill, go ahead and hold on and feel lonely and have medical bills. Or go the other way. It's not like 100% always like that, but statistically it's directionally like that. Then these are just some bullet points. Each one of these could be discussed and expanded for sure. We're not in control. One of my favorite references with this is Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl wrote a book, Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl was a Jewish man who was interred in a Nazi concentration camp and survived. And his profession, before and after, was a psychiatrist. So what helped him was he had a mission. Like, instead of holding on to the horrors of his circumstance, he had a mission in life. He knew where he wanted to go, and that protected him. There's like details in the book. It's a little skinny book. It's one of the reasons it's been reprinted about 25 times, and it's very powerful. So there are some circumstances of life that are just out of our control, like being in the Nazi concentration camp. He couldn't do anything about it. He was in a metal box with a big chain and a lock on it. And he got on the other side of it, fortunately. So, exactly as what someone said, it was said earlier, what happens that's out of our control, it's out of our control. But how you respond to those circumstances of life, that's in your control. And mindfulness and meditation helps you be present enough to choose how you're going to respond. It's from Bhagavad Gita perspective, it's what the soul does. The soul has free will. Tiny. We can't change the circumstances if the weather's bad. It was raining yesterday. What are you going to do? Or whatever. Circumstances, some circumstances of life, that's the way it is. You're walking down the path of life, and much to your surprise, here comes a circumstance that you weren't expecting at all. And there's nothing you can do about the circumstance. But you can choose how you're going to respond to the circumstance. That you have that freedom. And the power of meditation helps not just be obsessed about the circumstance, but stay fixed in who you are and make wise choices. The top chart is how we plan our life and cross the finish line over here. And life unfolds a little bit differently sometimes, commonly. And that's just the way it is. The topography is a little different. And so that's this acceptance, and part of acceptance is allowing yourself to let go. Here's a Bhagavad Gita image. Here's the three modes. Goodness, yellow. Passion, red. Ignorance, blue. And according to Bhagavad Gita, these three modes of nature are controlling the lives of living entities down here. We're under the grip of these three modes of nature. Now, the whole message of Bhagavad Gita is to go beyond the three modes of nature. But if you're holding on to one of them and obsessive about it, then you won't go beyond the modes of nature. You'll continue to be under the control of the circumstances of your life. And this place of higher consciousness is to go above the circumstances of your life to a place of higher consciousness. It's nice. It's available. Come on board. Now, here we go again, our facilitator.
Let's do another exercise. This time we are writing stuff down. You can use a pen and paper or your mobile phone. And this kind of links back to what we wrote down earlier. So list areas of your life that you would be better off letting go.
Take some time, invest some clear thought in this.
It is very powerful to write it down, so feel feel free to take your mobile phone out, open the notes app and write it. Anyway, you won't get distracted, the Wi-Fi doesn't work. Yes.
What do you mean by areas of our life? Do you mean by materialistic things or people?
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever you think you can let go.
Yeah, for example, if you define areas of life, you could say academic life or sexual life.
No, be as specific as possible. If you say something as broad as, I want to let go of my academic life, that's hard to work on. So the more specific you are, the better. Hopefully you don't want to let go. As an example, we said earlier that we experience the lower mode of consciousness of anger. So this could be something related to that. For example, I want to let go, as an example, and this is true. Not getting angry when I drive. something you can concretely work on.
It's nice to see so many of you really absorbed in writing things or putting it into your phone. We'll be doing more of this type of thing, so bring something with you, paper or a digital device you can enter. It's something for you to work on. And as I mentioned, towards the end of this whole morning session there'll be some meditation time where you'll be requested, so that those of you that don't have a device or a paper, fix in your mind at least one thing, that while we're doing meditation, from the inside, your emotional life, you consciously are letting go of that thing. That's the intention. It's where this train is going. You have something? Okay.
Peacocks.
Oh. Have you noticed the peacocks around? This farm is in Juniata County. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, they brought a male and a female peacock. And now Juniata County has a lot of peacocks all over the place. That was at a time when you could bring wildlife and it wasn't against the law, and they're all over the county now. They reproduce a lot, and they're like, Okay. Meditation is an assist. It's not a silver bullet, but it's an assist to help you let go. One of the principles of letting go is just to accept. There's circumstances that are those circumstances, like someone was sharing, your situation with your roommates. That's the circumstance. So you accept it, and then you decide internally, maybe even collectively, but to agree we're going to accept the circumstance and then let go. And there's messages of Bhagavad Gita and other texts, ancient Sanskrit literature texts, that speak about things that happen to us. We're the architect of that good fortune or ill fortune. Sad asad yoni janmasu, according to Bhagavad Gita language. We create our good fortune, ill fortune by our free will choices in the past, and how we respond to the circumstances at the moment is also a free will choice. So you go towards higher consciousness, and you're accepting the responsibility of the past rather than whining and complaining about the past, because it's something you may not know what triggered the immediate, but the immediate has something in the past, our own karma, our own free will choices. There's some deeper purpose behind something that we don't see in the moment necessarily. And wait a while, maybe quite a while, but the deeper purpose becomes revealed. So it's part of acceptance. And it's part of letting go. Deeper meaning. With internal strength, we can genuinely say, it's all right. Here, at this farm community in Gita Nagari, every Memorial weekend for the past 30-something years, we've been having gatherings, because it's a nice time. By the way, all the trees have leaves, and the cows, you can hear them from way over here. Moo, it's really, fantastic. And twice, because it's so powerful, we've had a say yes. In our Bhagavad Gita message, it's say yes to Krishna. But saying yes is powerful. So just a little quick. It's 20 minutes, 18 minutes after. I want to end on time. So there's a very nice person from New York City that their profession is trauma therapy. So they led a discussion session, about 2.5 hours. And it started with, a flip chart like this. And she stood up and had somebody writing down, say some things you don't like. And she meant it, kind of everyone is fidgety. But once they got the idea, 8-9 pages of, print filled up the flip chart, and everyone was laughing and laughing and laughing of things they don't like. And then the next exercise is, how do you flip it to things you don't like? It's just to accept it. Say yes. And everyone was going, wait a minute, I don't like it. So they did some role play. 2 people volunteered, sat in the front, and they did the I don't like it exchange. And then the challenge was to say yes, to accept it, and then role play it. And it took a while because it was kind of rusty, but once they got it, it was powerful. Say yes. Not necessarily I like the circumstance, but say yes to what's behind the circumstance. And learn a deeper lesson, and ultimately say yes to the one who's overseeing all of our karma. And thank you as a behavior But the feeling of gratitude, that's the basis, sustainable basis of the behavior of saying thank you, that's fantastic. And so it can be good fortune, ill fortune. And say thank you. Or I accept it, at least. Or sometimes we just need to call out. It's like we're in quicksand, and the more we wiggle, the more we go down, so we want help. That's okay too. Now, this is our next to the last slide. Yes? We're almost done. Good. It's not the next to last slide. There's another video clip that comes after this. What do you want to do your facilitation?
We can move on.
Okay. Okay, this is a friend of mine who lives in Hungary, and he's going to give us this letting go message. It's interesting.
I'm depressed. Ever heard that phrase? Know someone who said it? Have you ever felt it? It's the leading cause of disability around the world. Nearly 25% of people in the UK show symptoms of anxiety and depression. 350 million people worldwide suffer the same. But while many people really do suffer, some just think they do. In other words, depression is an overused word. It's used when we're not even depressed. So let me explain. We all experience feelings that we'd rather not feel. When we didn't get the job we wanted, when the sale of a house fell through, when a relationship isn't working out, and on and on. And we know how painful it can be to experience such undesirable feelings. Whether we're angry, or fed up, frustrated, lonely, or rejected, it can be painful to face up to the demands of life. But here's the thing. All right, everyone listening? We give too much attention to our feelings. Happiness and sadness are like seasons. Summer and winter. They come and they go. And feelings are equally fleeting. So why do we give lasting attention to temporary feelings? Sometimes seasons are short-lived, sometimes they last longer, but they always come and go. And that's the very characteristic of our emotions. They are not here to stay. And so, they are not who you are. You have to stop identifying with them, because you're different. What are you? You are the soul, the witness of emotions and its effects. And the very nature of the soul is joy. You're made of happiness, and so your depression can't really touch you. Conclusion, don't allow your mind to convince you that you are your emotions or feelings. There's something higher, something spiritual. You can never stop life challenges coming down on you, but you can choose how to respond. You can rise above your mind and change the lens with which to see the world. Life's about choices. Either you choose to listen to your mind or to rise above it. It's not easy, but it is possible.
Well, meditation helps to manage our emotional world. That's our internal mental stuff. And
all right. So we have gone through this 3 different exercises. Initially, we wrote down our intention for the workshop and what we experienced for lower and higher modes of consciousness. Second, we had a group discussion on why we should let go. Maharaj has taken you through several important aspects of letting go. So do we transition into the group meditation session?
I'm just looking at the clock. It's 9:25. We want to respect everybody's desire to have breakfast.
Alright, so this workshop continues for the next 2 days, and please continue to attend and understand the art of meditation. As a sample today, we will be leading you through 10 minutes of meditation, ending with musical meditation at the end. So for that, I will take you through a very simple 3-step alignment exercise. So the first level of alignment is the alignment of the body, and the second level of the alignment of the mind, and the third level of the alignment is the alignment of the heart of the soul. Body being the grossest and the soul being the subtlest. So as I go through these different tips and exercises, it gets more and more abstract. So some of these more abstract things you have to experience, not understand through your mind. So firstly, the 3 P's of alignment of the body. Okay. So the 3 P's of alignment of the body are posture, easy to understand, easy to do. So I request all of you to sit in an erect posture where your spine and neck are aligned. Not to the extent that it is uncomfortable to you. Please sit in a comfortable but erect posture to the extent your body allows you. Second P is the pronunciation. So during this art of meditation workshop, Maharaj will take you through the different kinds of meditation: silent meditation, meditation on candlelight, meditation on mandala or geometric shapes, meditation on sound vibrations, including meditating on the word Om, and finally we'll go through the meditation on the Maha Mantra. So Bhakti Yogis practice meditation on the Maha Mantra. The Maha Mantra has 3 words. Subala and Maha Mantra. He took us through. They took you through after the yoga some of this, but let's repeat that. The 3 words are Hare, Rama, and Krishna. So Hare means the energy of the Absolute, the energy of the cosmos. Rama and Krishna are names of the infinite or the cosmos or God or the Absolute Truth. Rama means the one who is filled with the pleasure potency, and Krishna means the all-attractive. So these words are sound vibrations. So even people who are physicists, there are some I know in this group who are physicists, the going theory in physics is M theory or string theory, and that talks about how the fundamental mode of transfer of energy is vibrations. So sound vibrations are very fundamental to this universe, and what we are trying to do is to re-establish a connection with the cosmos by vibrating these sound vibrations. Hare, Krishna, and Rama. So the Maha Mantra goes Hare Krishna, please repeat it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that is the second P, pronunciation. The third P is proper time. So we did yoga during Brahma Muhurta today. Brahma Muhurta is a Sanskrit word that means that represents a time about an hour and a half before sunrise. So that would be around 5:30 or so now in Pennsylvania. So those are the 3 P's of pronunciation of alignment of the body. Those are the grossest, easiest to understand. Then there is the alignment of the mind. So this is more subtler. So Maharaj will take you through in detail a mind management mantra tomorrow, but I'll give you a gist. The mantra goes where intention is, attention goes. Where attention is, energy flows, and where energy is, perfection manifests. So we did state the intention at the beginning of the workshop. So that is a very powerful tool. So for this particular meditation exercise, I will give you a few seconds. State the intention to yourself. For me, The intention is to not engage with the mind, not engage with the thoughts, not be distracted, but focus on the sound vibration. And through focusing on the sound vibration, I want to connect back to the cosmos, connect back to God. So please state whatever is the intention for yourself, within yourself. Alright, so with the intention stated, now you have the attention of your, you have the real attention, and the energy will start to flow. And when that happens, the most important thing is to stay detached. So we went through the art of letting go, and all of us have many attachments. Whether we consciously are aware of it or not, we have many attachments. You're attached to your car, you're attached to your wife or husband, you're attached to your job, you're attached to so many things. But just for the next 15-20 minutes, let's let go of those attachments. We are not this body. I am not the husband of my wife. I am not the owner of my car. I am an eternal spark of energy which is full of bliss and happiness. And I want to connect back to the cosmos, to the absolute truth, by vibrating these sound vibrations. So let us let go of these attachments, and with that mood of detachment, let us chant the Maha Mantra 5 times together. So please chant along with me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Stop. So you hopefully felt that energy is flowing, and the final alignment is the most abstract. It has to be experienced, but I will briefly explain it theoretically. So it is the alignment of the heart. So the heart has to be aligned. You have to chant this with feeling. These words are fundamental sound vibrations. We are all not this body, we are not material, we are eternal sparks of energy. And like you all studied in Physics 101, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transferred. And we are all related because all forms of energy are related, and we want to connect back to the cosmos, the infinite, God, and the absolute truth. So with that feeling, with true feeling that this is not a mechanical exercise, this is, I want to re-establish this connection, I want to feel real happiness, we align our heart and we start the group meditation exercise. We'll do this for 15 minutes. Please chant loud enough so that you hear yourself, but not so loud that you are disturbing the person next to you. So together, we'll all hunt for this nectar. So let's begin. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, increase the tempo. Let us really try to do this with true feeling, and let's not get involved in our thoughts, let's not get distracted. So together let us try and re-establish that connection. So again we start together with a higher tempo, not engaging our mind. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Stop. So final stop. So the next last 1 minute of our meditation, we will increase the tempo even further, but we will really let go. We are not this body, we are not material, we are an eternal spark of energy which is fully spiritual and capable of bliss and happiness. So with that thought in your heart, let's increase the tempo. Final 1 minute. Let's all really chant together. Let's try and find that nectar. It is said that group chanting is like a group of bees trying to find nectar together in a flower. So like that, together we can, let's for the next 1 minute with the fully increased tempo, let's begin. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Stop, final stop. So for the final few seconds, let us all raise our hands like this. So what we are going to do is give a cosmic hug. So we all like to give hugs. You like to hug your dog, you like to hug your husband or wife, your mother or father. It makes you feel really good and connected. So let's connect with the cosmos, let's connect with the absolute. At the top of our lung, I don't care if those glass windows shatter, at the top of, I won't use the mic. At the top of your lung, let's all chant the Mahamantra 5 times together, fully letting go of all our attachments and our labels and our issues and our mind telling us we are not worth this happiness and everything. Let's, as pure particles of eternal energy, spiritual beings, let us chant together. So, I'm putting this down. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. It is very hard to stop once you feel that connection and that happiness. So this, to enhance this connection, we have a whole agenda set up for you. Maharaj will be talking tomorrow on the gift of the present, and which is very important. Being in the present is what mindfulness is all about. And day after tomorrow, and the attitude of gratitude. So please be on time and attend at 8:15 every morning. Today we have the very important event of breakfast coming up right now. But after breakfast, the managers of this farm, Dhruva and Parijata, are going to give you a tour. Some of you asked me questions about what this farm is about. You talk about compassionate living. So how does this connect to that? So they will give you a nice tour. And after that, we have a very ecstatic event. We call it a Sangha group event. It's building relationships. So we are all, related in connection with the relation to the infinite or the supreme. So we have Sundari Radha and Shruti here, who are experts. They have done this workshop several times. So we are going to split you up into groups of 10, and we will nominate one person as a facilitator for each group, and you will have discussions where you will establish friendships and networks, which is part of the point of this retreat. And after that, we have a whole agenda. If you don't have a copy of it, please let one of us know. We'll give you a copy.
Where do they go for breakfast?
Oh, the white tent in the back.